Hey, welcome to another edition of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show, our ongoing miniseries where we break down key updates and design questions straight from the development of Shade Protocol. These episodes are built around the game's community engagement series, Devs Ask You, or DAUs, where Kendall and the team not only show what's changing, but invite fans to shape the journey with them. The Kickstarter officially launches on June 4th, and these episodes are all about what players can expect, how the campaign could impact the future of the project, and the philosophy behind asking a community to help bring a game like this to life. Be sure to follow us and Little Legendary on our socials and YouTube channel, and be sure to join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice directly with the dev team. Links to everything will be in the description down below, and with all that being said, it's Razzle Dazzle time! The campaign itself will feature a relatively modest initial funding goal, stretch goals that could expand the game further, and a wide range of reward ideas including, but not limited to, digital content, soundtracks and art books, cosmetics and in-game rewards, behind-the-scene access, physical collector items, community participation opportunities, and even collaborative design rewards tied directly to the world of Shade Protocol. Kendall, what has this process been like emotionally as someone who spent years building this world independently? I want to ask this at the very start because referring back to your initial interview episode here on the show back in, I think it was September when the episode released, or November. It was a while ago. There was a point in the episode where, you gave this analogy of, this is your baby. And through the process of creating this project, there are a bunch of parts where, you couldn't save certain bits. You had to cut, right? You had to keep cutting and then still make this thing become the best as it possibly can. You've talked about this and expanded a bit more upon a streamer interview that you did not too long ago. And I remember watching that stream that, the minimum goal you guys had for wish lists or follows or whatever for Kickstarter was 1,000 wish lists or 1,000 followers for the Kickstarter, and you hit beyond that goal during that stream. It was a great moment, it's a great event that took place for Shade Protocol. So now that we're at the cusp of the campaign actually about to launch, what has this process meant to you emotionally?
It's just wild. I don't know how to, it's a lot of it's very difficult for me as an individual. If the question is more about me and less about the team, it's been very difficult. And I don't want to sound like dramatic or anything like that, but it's just culturally, I'm not the kind of person that likes to ask for help especially for things that are very personal like this. This is a really, really personal project for me, something that I want to do. And even though it's not really for me, it's something that I'm very passionate about, and that I feel like it's kind of like hopefully magnus opus kind of thing. Like I'm making something that I'm very proud of, that I always wanted to do. But the problem is, when you come from kind of my culture, I come from, Latin America, we just kind of, even though a lot of it is wrong, I would say, it's not a good way to think about things. We're kind of ingrained in this idea that you have to be incredibly self-sufficient, that you shouldn't be asking for help.
I know,
you
man.
have to, you
I'm
should,
Latino too. I understand what you mean.
Specifically economically, you always have to be able to fund the things, and it should not you should not need anyone else's anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I believe is difficult to walk away from it. But of course, the truth is, when we announced the game originally, back in May 25th of last year, we internally were saying, yeah, if we make 1,000 wishes, we'll be happy. If we make 2,000, we're killing it, right? Because our goal was always to make 7,000 before we release the game. That was literally our goal, because we've done the research and it says, if you make it to like around 7,000 wish lists, you could get into, popular upcoming, and that then puts you into new and trending, and that, it's pretty much the path that indies look for. Get between 7 to 10,000 wish lists before you release your game. And it's incredibly difficult. So if we get 2,000, we'll be happy. I think that day we were already at 8, 9, or 10,000. I think the day after we were at 25, and it just didn't make any sense. So as this has continued to happen, the problem is that even though I'm incredibly proud of it, the truth is that our expectation of what we were gonna make has changed, because we figured out we have something that people want, and of course by consequence you dream big, and then you see possibilities you couldn't see before. Kind of like, imagine, like, if you're I don't know, if you show up to some like karaoke or whatnot, and you start singing and people get excited, then maybe you're gonna sing another song and you're gonna want to do more. I don't sing karaoke, it's a bad example, but you get my point, right? Maybe if you do something that people like, then you'll do more of it. So kind of like the same situation with us. We're kind of realizing that we have something that people really, really want, and by consequence the project has grown, and it has allowed us to think about it from this perspective. But that's a lot more expensive that I was gonna make, right?
I want to let you know that as of this moment of recording, this very moment, you have 2,599 followers for the Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, and I know that a lot of people might hear that and they might think, well, that's how much can that be? Like, the thing is, it's completely different. So I think this is a good point to explain to people, and I think it helps to educate and to inform people of how the mechanics of Kickstarter work, so that you guys are really, really clear what's going on here. I think like a lot of indies like me normally would hide all this information, because it's better to live in the illusion of like what success looks like, and and it's easier to convince people that you need their help.
Sure, right.
If it looks like you're not doing well, right? But the truth is, we have like over 100,000 wish lists on Steam, and we have about almost 2,600 followers on Kickstarter. What happens is the friction of getting one follower on Kickstarter is so high. Like, remember, somebody has to sign up into Kickstarter. They have to make an account. Yeah. They have to, completely understand that just following your project doesn't mean they're gonna pay you anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very, very big learning curve, and it doesn't sound like it, but it's a lot of effort. So converting one person into a follower, it's a really big effort.
Yeah. It's that whole sales funnel, man. I get it. Yeah.
So we have like projects that we are very, very deeply in love with, like Bo, Path of the Lotus.
Love him.
Chris, great guy. Love him. He launched his Kickstarter with about I think between 900 to 1,000 people, if I remember right.
Right.
He got about $200,000 in return. Eden's Guardian, which comes from
oh man, I'm so excited.
Jesus and Jorge. These guys are so awesome. Barajines Studios, they released their Kickstarter with 1,100 people, and they made almost 280,000 euros.
Right.
So the thing is that the numbers seem like very low, but having 2,600 followers is stratospherically high for our space. That doesn't mean it's going to convert to anything, right? This is not how the world works. And between those Kickstarters that I just mentioned and today, the world has changed, right? Economically, things are different.
Oh yeah.
People are in much higher stress, and we've never wanted people to have to give us anything. But the truth is, what we're thinking is we're going to make the Kickstarter about making the game better. That's our goal. We're going to make the game no matter what, which I know I should not say, because people really want to feel part of the journey of like, oh, we're saving the game, right? But I just don't want people to feel that level of responsibility. Like, I just want to be transparent. We're going to figure it out. We don't have the resources to do all of it, but no matter what, we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. We're not, if it all goes wrong, we're still going to find a way to make the game. It's going to happen. So going with that, then the goal is to do better. Going to your original point of like, how do I feel about it? It's challenging because, if you're a father, you don't want anyone else to have to take care of your child. It's just something that is like very personally difficult to do. But you know, I'm not capable. I've been funding absolutely everything for, about a year and a half of initial dev, and we started deving, pretty hard about a year and a half ago, January of last year.
Yeah.
And at some point, my team, I need to make sure that my team's taken care of and that they could continue to produce the great art that they do safely and not have to worry. And like, it's something that I couldn't, without putting myself and other people at risk, I would have to, it's just, that's the reality. But anyway, the really, really good news is that we're freaking killing it. Like, it's going well. We are doing well. I don't have a lot of as much, maybe because it's a, I don't know, a sense of, I don't know, I don't know how to say it, but I don't have as much, I don't think the word's faith, but what is it like? Probably it's imposter syndrome.
Sure.
I don't think we're going to do as well as people think we're going to do, right? People think we're going to do way too well. I think we're going to do fine. But that fine is enough to help us get the game to a place where we can continue to build it. And then there'll be difficult decisions that we'll make based on how much we can raise. So that probably is another question. But in short, if we don't do well at all, then we have the option of going into early access, which we really do not want to do.
Right.
I'll just be transparent. We don't want to do that. As a Metroidvania, we want to surprise you. We wanted you to enjoy it.
And that's not to say that other games that do go on early access means that they have failed in whatever goals that they have done.
No,
that's not to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we talk in here in the Discord. Alabaster Dawn went into early access May 7th.
Shout outs to them, man. Yeah.
I mean, these guys were 6th in the world.
Yeah.
They beat almost every AAA game in the entire world.
Yeah.
And they're going to early access. So I mean, yes, there is. It's not a proof of anything negative. It's just, as a smaller studio with no additional sources of income, we couldn't say, let's go into EA, do a completely different story, right? Just for EA, and then later on, like, amass the money to actually make a different story. That's what I would like to do, right? So that way people are never, missing out on the coolness of everything that happens in the story. But I feel like it would be something difficult for me to endure if we had to go to EA, but I would still be very proud because EA is there for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not as welcoming to Metroidvanias as it might be to like an action platformer or a fighting game or something that, has a lot of replayability. But regardless, that's one option, which is at the lower end. I really don't think we're going to be there. I don't think so. I think that will mean that we got barely the initial goal. And I don't think that's what's going to happen. If we do okay, then we would have enough resources to continue the path to make the game. It probably won't be sufficient to do the game we dream of making, but it'll be enough for us to like get into, a truly fair version of the game, to the point where it'll be really small, but it'll be something we'll be proud of. And at that point, we will probably just finish conversations with publishers, which it's not out of the question. Of course, I would just want to make sure that, if people are going into the Kickstarter thinking that we are, out of the woods in terms of like having a publisher, it's irrealistic.
I was gonna ask you that too next. Like, for people who like are not aware of like how that process goes, and like if when people who know at least something about video games, they hear the word publisher, they're like, oh, okay, these are the people that pay money to the devs to help get the thing going, right? Okay, but like, if for the indie devs, they raise enough money on the Kickstarter, which could be meant for whatever goals, like, it's not necessarily like the Kickstarter is funded, that means the game is fully funded. Therefore, that doesn't exclude the possibility of there being a publisher. So like, could you like expand more upon that, like explain that type of stuff a little bit more, make it more clear? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So what happens is the mechanics of this are simple but painful, is the way I would explain.
Right.
So you end up with, for example, if you put your game on Steam and your game costs $25 or $20 or something like that, indie pricing. So the moment that you put your game there, what's going to happen is the moment it gets sold, Steam is going to take 30% of that number, right? So you lose $3 out of every 10. So you're already starting with 30% gone. Immediately after that, if you have a publisher, which, by the way, publishers are good for the industry.
Right.
They're just, of course, some of them, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of them are incredibly predatory, right? Because they know you need the money. So, it's a business relationship, and you have to be a good business person to endure the weight of somebody that gives you money and then they want it back and then some. So there's nothing wrong with publishers. There's something wrong with the moment in which you go get the publisher. If you go get a publisher when you're in desperate need, you're probably going to be in a bad situation because, then they have the upper hand and it's not like you're still negotiating, right? However, there are some, rarely so, publishers that are incredibly indie friendly, and, what they do, so that people understand this, there's many types of publishers. One of the types of publishers, they do development funding. So they are giving you the resources now in order for you to make the game, and they do it through milestones most of the time. So let's say we divide Shape Protocol into 10 milestones, and we say whenever we do this thing, they're going to give us a certain amount, which allows us to then pay for the people to do the next thing, and then we turn it over, and then the next thing, and the next and the next and the next. That's how you go, right? So they're paying for the funding to do the game, but what happens is that money becomes something that is called recuperable dollars. So let's say you were the publisher, Jared, and you give me $100. So what happens is you would say, well, I mean, you take $100 and then we go and, we make the game, and then you're going to get it back because that's your investment. Not at all. You would wish that would work that way. But the truth is most publishers, they have something called recoup. And what happens is then you owe them the $100 first before you make a single dollar.
Right.
So Steam takes their cut, and then let's say out of $20, Steam takes their 30%, which would be $6 if I'm doing my math right. So you have 14 left. Then they take all $14 for as long as it takes until you pay them their $100 back. And then for the next 5 years, or sometimes more, you owe them 50% of the remainder. This is the most normal, I would call a publisher deal that's out there. There's many publishers that do different deals, and they're much better than that, or some are worse. But this is what goes after. We're lucky enough that we have all of you, and because we have all of you, we can show up to these meetings and say no thanks, and because of that, we can get better structures than that. But that's like the norm. So what happens is of course they have a huge risk, but they're mitigating their risk by ensuring that the money that's going to come from the game in its initial burst is going to go straight to them to pay them back. But then you still have to pay them half of the profits post Steam. So after you paid your $100 back, then you need to pay half of everything that Steam didn't take. That's before you pay your team. That's before you do anything else, and you still have to maintain the work. So it's very, very difficult. So I guess where I'm coming from is like going to Kickstarter is something that helps us kind of reduce the need for more money from a publisher, right? So we could, let's say we needed, I'm making the number small. Of course, we don't need $100, so just trying to keep it simple. But let's say we needed $100 to finish all of Shade Protocol. If we raise 20 or 30 in Kickstarter, then we can go get 70 from a publisher. And at that point, things, we can, of course, even if we had a deal that is that difficult, like a deal that like it may be a little bit more closer to a very high percentage, we can recuperate quickly. So therefore we are able to kind of pay our team and pay our people earlier. Of course, the dream here is to not need a publisher. Once again, there are some publishers that are incredibly awesome, and those are the ones that we want to work with.
Right.
Thankfully, we are talking to most of those, and the ones that we don't like, we're kind of ending conversations very quickly. But the ones that we actually really like, then they're definitely not like that. They're more like They're welcoming, but they also need to make their money back. They're running a business, right? And we have to understand that. But anyway, to the focus here on Kickstarter, it is not, and I know a lot of people are going to be heartbroken, but the truth is, it is not realistic to think we're going to walk out of Kickstarter fully self-funding Shade Protocol. Now, are you guys insane enough to make it happen? maybe, but the number is huge in order for that to happen. And I'll explain to you how very quickly. I know we're jumping a lot of questions.
No,
but
you're
just
good.
gonna tell you.
You're good.
So for people to understand, I know I have been advised 1 trillion times not to say any of this, but I don't care because
So
it's not right. It's not
therefore,
right.
you're going to say it on a podcast.
So therefore, I'm going to say it. Yeah.
For the internet. Yep.
It needs to be explained because I think like it drives it is too much to my advantage to be quiet about it, but it is only a bad thing for the consumer. So I'm just going to say what I have to say and whatever happens. So what happens is when you go to Kickstarter, the truth is you almost never succeed in Kickstarter if you don't have a couple things, a demo and ads. You have to do those two things. And ads are expensive. There's something in ads. I just literally learned the acronym today, but I knew what it was from my corporate life, but you know,
And by
I was taught
ads,
the
you mean just overall advertising game, like on different platforms, like Instagram, Twitter, whatever, like on the internet.
like some a little ad that appears out of nowhere, right? And
Right.
it shows like, oh look here, that is incredibly successful and is very, very good, and there's nothing negative about it, to be honest.
saw
it's really good.
a few weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
like I've been seeing a shit ton of ads for this one game. I forget the name of it, but I think it starts with a B. But it's like a Zelda-like with like a red little demon dude that has like a mask shield or something. I forget the name of the game. Bell's Fanfare. Yes, thank you. I've been seeing a shit ton of ads for that game like about a month ago, and it was like almost every other scroll for the ad on Instagram, you know? So yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, some of that is part of course, you know, if you're being served the same ad 1 million times, you can imagine already how we're starting to get into trouble, right?
Right.
Because you're paying for every impression, but it's painful because you might be seeing the same person. So it's very complicated. But I guess the point that I wanted to make there, what happens is you have to have ads in order to do this, because if not, you just don't get reach. Kickstarter doesn't serve your game to anybody. They have a little bit of a internal promo that they can put you on the first page, and yeah, some people go there, but most of your promo, you're doing it yourself.
Right.
It's not like Steam that serves this to people. When I mean serve, it's a marketing term. It's like it places your product in front of someone. Kickstarter's not doing that. They don't have a way of doing that. They don't have a way of saying like, oh, you know, hey, here's like an email that, I mean, you do that when you start your campaign, but they're not a promotional tool. They are a crowdfunding tool. So you would do all the marketing pretty much. So what happens here is then we have to go and put ads, but what happens is there's something called ROAS or something like that, and I don't know what it even stands for, but the point is like pretty much is the return that you're going to get for every dollar spent. And what's happening, and this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings, but you might think that, you know, let's say we raise, you know, $100. In order to raise those $100, we might have had to spend, I don't know, X dollars in ads. And for every ad, let's say we'll make $2 in revenue. But it will not be out of all the dollars. It's hard to explain, but imagine out of the $100 that we raised end to end, Kickstarter is going to take a percentage. I think it's about 5%. There's a legal fee there and transactional fee that is another 5%.
Right.
Then you have to pay the ads back, which could sum up to be easily 20 to 30% of your campaign.
Wow.
And then you have to pay for all the physical goods, which most of the time you make less than 25% of each of those things. And then you have to pay for everything you promised you were going to do in your goals. So this might break a lot of illusions, but most campaigns make less than 50% of the number they raise in net profits in order for them to actually make the game. So the amount of dollars that we would get, that will land on the team, would be probably half of the number that you guys see in Kickstarter. And that's if we manage it really well. So what ends up happening is that Kickstarter most of the time tends to being a really good promotional tool to, to pretty much get your community really excited and to yeah, raise some money, but not enough for you to like go wild, right? So if we wanted to raise $100 to make Shape Protocol, we need to actually get $200,
Right.
right? And you can imagine when those numbers like actually become a production studio of our quality and how that explodes. So it's possible. Pixar Sean is like, we're gonna do it. I believe him. He's a super cool guy. Thanks for being here. But what I mean is it realistic? Maybe. I mean, a lot of people believe it, right? It's not like I don't believe it, but the number is ginormous, right? And we also don't want to raise that much because we don't want to be in situations where we're compared to games that have raised way too much and then maybe kind of disappeared into the ether, or they take way too many years to produce their game, or all that stuff that we just do not want to do. So yeah, it's without telling you specifics of how much we wish we could raise, because I think that sets the wrong expectation for people.
Right.
The number to self-fund is bigger than I think we will raise, but I don't think it's impossible. There's a non-zero chance that it happens, but it's not realistic. So just
give us
listen to this, please. Just don't feel betrayed if we ended the campaign and we say, great, this gives us a lot of time to like maybe an entire year of our own staff to work on our own, and then after that we have to like show up with a publisher. But if we end up doing that, that means we got the best deal we could have ever gotten, because at that point we've funded ourselves enough to be really, really strong and be able to get a deal that is actually a good publishing deal, which exists for a reason. So that's the summary of it in too many words.
After the recording, give all of us here who are at the recording live the number, and then we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, happy to tell you guys, but I just also, if I could say this loud and clear, if you are listening to this and you're participating in the Kickstarter, do not, under any circumstance, do not give more than you have spendable income to give. We will be okay. We're gonna make this game no matter what. Don't suffer it. My suggestion is get the stuff that you want to get, like the stuff that would make you happy, and we're going to tell you the goals in advance. We probably won't be able to tell you today all the goals. Some of them are secret because of reasons I can't really show yet. But once my only ask is, if you are going to give, then do it as early as you can. That's my only ask. If you're going to give like $20, just give them as early as you can. Set up an alarm, go in there. And the reason why I'm saying it is not for my own benefit. I mean, it kind of is. I'm not going to pretend. But more because I know some things are going to run out. And I am stressing the hell out about it. Because I know that a lot of people are going to be disappointed. Because we cannot afford to like go and ask for like, we have to commit to very specific production amounts in order for us to be able to do it in a way that's sustainable for us. So that means we don't pre-buy the things, but we pretty much assure that that's the rate that we're going to get, right? So imagine I go to you, Jared, and you tell me you're going to make, let's say a plushie. So I'll be like, okay, you'll tell me how many plushies you want. I'll say, well, I mean, I think I could sell 10,000 of them. And you'll be like, great, I'll sell you a plushie for like, I don't know, $10. But then I end up selling only 500 of them. Then you can't give me that rate because you have to make 10,000. So either I have to buy you 10,000, which is probably not going to happen,
right?
Or you're going to then adjust your rate and say, okay, well, since you only bought 500, then each plushie is $275 with 14 cents. And that's how you end up with Kickstarters that, do really well, but then the games just die. So because of that, we have to kind of commit and say, if we're going to do, let's say X amount of whatever, physical good, then that needs to be finite in order for us to keep it safe and not like overspend. Of course, we can go over that number, but the problem is people say, well, Kendall, that's stupid, right? If you say, let's make 100 plushies, right? And you sell 101, You still keep the same rate. Yeah, it would have been better if you would have told them that you were sell 200. You would have gotten a better rate. I get that. But the problem is you can't make batches like that. So that you might cross the batch of 100 and they might say, great, the next number is 500 in order for us to like give you a different rate. So now I need to make it to 500, which might not be possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, and this is not all physical producers. This is not all the case, but what we feel produces the highest quality items that we want to make and stuff like that requires this type of well done production. So I apologize if I'm going too deep into detail, but it's
we want the details.
Yeah, so we're being careful, and we're not gonna be able to do everything we wanted to do, but the stuff we're gonna do is gonna be hopefully of meritable quality to what people expect, and hopefully at a price that is affordable. Because we, of course, remember, if you're buying something in the Kickstarter, this is important. It's gonna be marked up. It's kind of inevitable, right? If we're selling you, a body pillow, because you freaking people, but if we're making a body pillow and the body pillow costs, I don't know, let's say for example, it's gonna be $25, then of course we have to give it to you for 35, right? Because we have to pay for the good, and we have to leave money for the goals, which we also have to pay, like the goals. We have to pay Kickstarter. We have to pay the ad that got the person there. Does that make sense? Like, it gets inflated. Before we give you the product, it's inflated, and it's not even like what we want. So I am trying to look to this physical goods that have enough range of margin, so that whenever you see them, you think, oh, that's a really good price for a figurine. But in reality, I had to fight a war to bring that dollar, like every cent that I can of that production, as low as I can, so that we can keep the difference and make the game. Hopefully that makes sense.
The Shade Protocol Kickstarter launches June 4th. If you've been following the game, enjoying the Breaking Protocol episodes, or participating in the DAU discussions, this is the moment where the community has a chance to directly support the future of the project. Whether it's for the music, the world building, the combat systems, the characters, or simply the passion behind the game, this campaign could play a major role in helping Shade Protocol grow into its full vision. Links are down below. This has been another episode of Breaking Protocol from the Razzle Dazzle Show. Want to help what Shade Protocol becomes? Join the Shade Protocol Discord server to follow new DAUs, vote in polls, and share your voice with the dev team directly. And if you like this breakdown, check out our past spotlights and interviews with Kendall right here on the Razzle Dazzle Show. Remember, the future of Emeria is still being written.